الله عليه وآله رضي الله عن المهاجرين والأنصار تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد. Congratulations for myself and for you to reach Ramadan. It is a great blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gave us life until we enter that month. And that month is one of the gifts of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you reach Ramadan, you have an opportunity, whether you take it, seize it, or you lose it. And if you lose it, it's a big loss. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the hadith is narrated, طَابَ خَسِرْ مَنْ أَدْرَكَ رَمَضَانَ فَلَمْ يُغْفِرْ لَهُ. It is a great loss if you reach Ramadan and then you don't come out with the maghfirah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What to do in Ramadan depends on each person. Each of us is different. Some people are supposed to give charity for the sake of Allah. Some people are supposed to sacrifice some of their wealth in order to alleviate the suffering of those who suffer. And some others do not have the exact same duty. They are teachers, for example, who are supposed to teach, whether teach about Islam, in particularly, whether to teach people by example, in many ways. Some are young, some are old. The younger ones have the life, inshallah, ahead of them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them life and health. And therefore, the way they deal with Ramadan to build themselves, to build their iman, to build the foundation on which they will struggle in this world. Perhaps they could make a shift in their path, at this early stage of their path, a shift towards a different future, because Ramadan is urging them to take a different kind of future and to rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in what they provide for them and so forth, in order to have a more meaningful, from the sake of Islam perspective, future. Those who are older, perhaps it is a time to think on where to put your experience that you have gained over the years and what to do in the rest of your life. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you all health and good life. What to do in the rest of my life or your life, so that we meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a good shape. Doesn't mean that young cannot die soon, and it doesn't mean that old doesn't have to. It's not like that. But basically, each person has their circumstance. We read what we read from the Quran. بَلِ الْإِنسَانُ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ بَصِيرًا. Every insan has a basira, has a very clear awareness of themselves. You know yourself better than anyone else. And therefore, as you enter Ramadan, it is best to look inwards and to try to see, how am I going to get out of Ramadan as a better person? Whatever it is better that I do. So I'm saying, some people in their wealth, some people in their effort, some people, our brothers and sisters in Palestine, they do jihad for the sake of Allah against, the enemies of Islam. And basically, every one of us has a different approach and a different opportunity. And you might not be asked to do jihad as in struggling in fighting sense, but you are asked to do other things in this context. And therefore, we all have our own jihad that we need to do. Jihad at home, jihad at work, jihad in our society, jihad with our wealth or our health, jihad for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not just one thing for the word jihad. And it's just a reminder that my brothers asked me to give about Ramadan. I thought it would be a reminder for myself and you, as we finished, alhamdulillah, the first day of Ramadan, to take Ramadan seriously. Try to get out of Ramadan as much better person than when you were in the beginning of Ramadan. And maybe this will be our last Ramadan. Maybe this will be our last part of the journey in this world. This world, every rational human being with, a head over their shoulders, as we say in English, knows that this is a journey that will end at some point. And therefore, it is very important to have an awareness of that, to be aware, whether you're young or old, that this is a journey that approaches its end regardless, every day and every second. And therefore, it could be a very happy end, and it could be the best day of your life, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran about the Malaika when they come and say, this is the best day of your life that you will see, versus some other days. People who do good and people who do evil, people who do evil to the extent of tyranny and fasad, as in corruption on earth, we'll see what they will do. And people who do good to the extent of, siddiqiyah, so being some sort of a siddiq or some sort of a Rabbani, also will see what they have to do. And it is best that we have this very clear in our minds as we deal with the dunya, not make the dunya and the worldly affairs take us too much from the reality of this world. We live well, alhamdulillah, we eat well, we take care of our health and wealth, and the strong Muslim, as the Prophet said, ﷺ, the strong believer is better than the weak believer. But we have to be aware of the end, and we have to be aware of our responsibility, that not to put it in far lands or far places or far tools that you don't have, but the tools you have, the place you are in, the circumstances that you are in. Look well and sit by yourself and see how you can please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that month. Jazakumullah khairan. Barakallahu feekum. It's a pleasure to be here. It's actually, I am with Istac visiting. It's the first time to visit this nice place. Jazakumullah khair. It's a very beautiful place. I apologize for my sensitive voice. I'm very sensitive to smoke. So when I smelled some smoking, I had this asthma. But ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive all of us. In terms of fatwa, and I give fatwa in Europe and America, your brother Jasser, Auda, I can give you, whoever smokes, a fatwa that smoking is haram. So please, for the sake of Allah, for yourself first and for others, smoking is really haram. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide and forgive all of us. Barakallahu feekum, jazakumullah khairan. And thank you very much for inviting me to lead this beautiful prayer. Assalamu alaikum.